Right now, on a dry roadside within a few miles of you, it is standing straight up out of the gravel like a spear, waist high, sometimes taller than a person, a single pale stalk, and at the base a rosette of big soft leaves, silver green and covered in fine hairs so dense the whole plant feels like felt, like flannel you could pull off and fold. You have driven past 1,000 of them, and never once looked twice. For 2,000 years, this was the plant people reached for when they couldn't breathe, when the cough wouldn't stop, when the chest went tight and heavy, and every breath rattled. It's old enough that a Greek physician marching with the Roman army wrote it down by name, and it is growing, for free, on the shoulder of a road you have already driven this week. Keep that plant in mind, because an entire industry quietly replaced it, and almost nobody noticed the moment it happened. Let's be clear about what this is not. This is not a rare herb from the far side of the world. It is a weed. It colonizes dry roadsides, gravel lots, burned ground, and disturbed soil. It was replaced, one cough syrup, one prescription, one inhaler at a time, by a respiratory drug industry worth many billions of dollars, until a plant your great-grandparents could name on sight became a plant you have absolutely no word for. That is a quieter kind of disappearance than a ban, and in the end, a more complete one. Let me show you exactly how it happened. This is the story of mullein. Welcome to Landfield's lab. To understand how a roadside weed became a lung medicine, follow two threads. The first is ancient. In roughly the 1st century, a Greek military physician named Pedanius Dioscorides compiled De Materia Medica. In it, he describes a plant he calls phlomos, and he prescribes it for coughs, for lung complaints, for the kind of breathing trouble we would now call bronchitis and asthma. That plant is mullein. The reputation stuck so hard, it rewrote the plant's name. For centuries, it was simply called Lungwort, the lung plant. In parts of Europe, bullock's lungwort, because farmers dosed sick cattle with it too. Old healers followed a rule they called the doctrine of signatures, the idea that a plant's appearance hinted at what it treated, and a mullein leaf looks and feels uncannily like spongy lung tissue. And there's a second, stranger job it did. The dried stalks, soaked in fat or tallow, burn slowly and steadily, so for centuries people used them as torches and candlewicks. That's where names like candlewick and hag's taper come from. Hold that image, because the second thread is where it crossed an ocean and became genuinely American. European settlers carried mullein to North America deliberately as a home medicine. Nowhere did it root deeper than in Appalachian folk medicine. Mountain households brewed the leaf into a tea for coughs and congestion, and passed the knowledge down hollow to hollow for generations. Some dried the leaves, crushed them, and burned them like a coarse herbal cigarette, breathing the smoke to loosen a tight chest and ease asthma, a practice that survived in the mountains well into the 20th century. Mullein was respectable enough to be listed in American pharmacy references of the 18 and 1900s, prescribed by the era's doctors as a legitimate remedy for coughs and lung complaints. For a plant most people today can't even name, that is a stunning paper trail. But first, so you'd actually recognize it, because there's a look-alike that can kill you. Mullein lives 2 years. In its first year, it's just that ground rosette, big, soft, pale, silver-green leaves, thick and woolly. In its second year, it sends up the tall stalk, often well over head height, crowded near the top with soft, 5-petaled yellow flowers. In year 2, standing tall and yellow, nothing else looks quite like it. But in year 1, that fuzzy rosette hugging the ground can be confused with the first-year rosette of foxglove, and foxglove is a lethal heart poison. This matters, so I'll say it plainly. If you cannot tell those two plants apart with total certainty, do not touch this one. Now the science, because a 2,000-year reputation still has to be earned. Mullein is not inert, far from it. Modern analysis of the plant has pulled out dozens of active compounds, concentrated most heavily in the yellow flowers. Its signature compound, verbascoside, kills Staph aureus in vitro and quiets inflammatory signals like COX-2 in cell studies. That's real chemistry, and it's more than most weeds can claim. But a cell in a dish is not a human lung. Antiviral in a petri plate does not mean antiviral in your body. So why has this plant soothed coughs for 2,000 years? Mullein leaves and flowers are packed with mucilage, a slippery, water-soluble fiber that coats the raw, irritated tissue at the back of an inflamed throat and airway. Along with saponins, natural soap-like compounds that help thin and loosen sticky mucus so a tight, dry cough can finally break and clear. In plain terms, it's a demulcent and a mild expectorant. It soothes and it loosens. And that is not just folklore. Germany's Commission E, which evaluates traditional remedies against actual evidence, formally recognized mullein flower for irritated coughs and respiratory catarrh, an official European sign-off on the one thing this plant has always genuinely done. The best clinical trial involving mullein isn't about the lungs at all. It's about the ear. In 2001 and 2003, researchers tested a herbal ear oil that included mullein flowers. The herbal drops relieved the pain as well as the pharmaceutical ones did. Real, randomized, published in the journal Pediatrics. That ear study did not show mullein curing an infection. It showed a blend of plants easing pain. So take the real lesson from it, not the fantasy. Mullein can genuinely soothe, but soothing is not curing. And that distinction is exactly where this plant was lost. Through the first half of the 20th century, American medicine reorganized itself around standardized, purified, patented drugs. Bottled cough syrups arrived, then antibiotics. Then, by mid-century, the pressurized inhaler. Every one of those was patented, measured, prescribed, and advertised. Here is the line I will not let you cross. Mullein is not an antibiotic. It does not kill the bacteria behind bronchitis or pneumonia. It is not an inhaler, and it will not stop an asthma attack. If you have a high fever or are truly short of breath, that is a doctor's job, not a weed's. Why is something with 2,000 years of use still a roadside weed instead of a product on a shelf? Because there is nothing to sell. You cannot patent a plant that grows in every ditch. There is no recurring revenue in a cough remedy your customer can harvest for free, forever. Mullein lost because no one on earth makes money when you walk outside and pick it. So if you wanted to use it, here is the honest version, and one step everybody skips. The traditional preparation is a tea, a spoonful of dried leaf or flower steeped in hot water, and here is the step people forget. Strain it, twice, through a coffee filter or fine cloth, because those tiny hairs will scratch and irritate your throat. Take it only from clean, unsprayed ground, well back from the road. Be absolutely certain it's not foxglove. I'm not telling you to replace a single thing in your medicine cabinet. I'm telling you that a remedy a Greek physician wrote down 2,000 years ago is still standing on the side of the road you drove today. And now, at last, you know it by name. If you want the next forgotten plant we pull out of the vault, subscribe, because some of them weren't buried by villains. Some were simply outsold and left to grow by the roadside where nobody thinks to look.